What if I told you that a boy who once stood in line for food stamps with barely $1 to his name would one day sell his idea for over $19 billion? This isn't fiction. This is the real-life story of Koum, the man who co-founded WhatsApp and changed the way the world communicates. Koum was born in a small village near Kyiv, Ukraine in 1976. He grew up in a home with no hot water, no electricity, and sometimes no food. The Cold War was raging. The future looked bleak. At just 16 years old, Jan and his mother immigrated to the United States for a better life, leaving behind everything: family, friends, and familiarity. They settled in Mountain View, California. But the American dream wasn't a red carpet. It was a broken sidewalk. They lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and his mother took up babysitting. Jan cleaned floors at a grocery store to make ends meet. They lived on food stamps. And then, tragedy struck. Jan's mother was diagnosed with cancer. As she struggled with her health, Jan drowned himself in books, particularly computers and networks. He taught himself programming by borrowing manuals from a used bookstore. They couldn't afford the internet, so Jan coded offline, read source codes, and visited hackers' forums to learn. And then a second blow hit. His mother passed away, leaving him completely alone. He was 20, broke, and had no formal education in programming. But he had one thing the world couldn't take away: hunger. Hunger to learn. Hunger to rise. Hunger to prove he mattered. Through his skills, Jan got a job at Ernst & Young as a security tester. And it was here that fate introduced him to Brian Acton, a fellow computer enthusiast. The two became fast friends. Later, Jan landed a job at Yahoo, where he worked for nearly a decade. But despite the good salary, Jan wasn't satisfied. He didn't want to be just another employee. He wanted to create. He wanted to innovate. So in 2007, he quit Yahoo with Brian Acton. Together, they decided to build something of their own. In 2009, Jan bought his first iPhone. He immediately saw the future: mobile messaging without ads, without tracking, and with privacy at its core. That's when he had the idea: an app that would allow people to message each other globally for free. And so, he built the first version of WhatsApp. But it wasn't easy. The first version kept crashing. Nobody downloaded it. Even his friends didn't see the potential. Jan was crushed. He was about to give up, but Jan remembered his journey. If he could survive poverty, if he could survive his mother's death, if he could survive America with nothing, then he could survive a bad app launch. So he kept going. He fixed the bugs. He added status updates. And soon, word started to spread. One person told another, then 10 more, then 100. Within months, WhatsApp exploded. It was simple, fast, and most importantly, didn't sell your data. People loved it. WhatsApp was growing faster than anyone could imagine. By 2014, WhatsApp had over 400 million users. And that's when Mark Zuckerberg called. He saw what Jan had built. He saw the future. And Facebook offered Koum and Brian Acton a deal. $19 billion. One of the largest tech acquisitions in history. And in the same building where Jan once stood in line for food stamps, he signed the deal that made him a billionaire. Jan didn't just change his own life. He changed how the world talks. Today, WhatsApp connects over 2 billion people worldwide. From family members in different countries to emergency workers saving lives. Jan's app bridges cultures, time zones, and hearts. But Jan didn't build it for fame. He didn't build it for luxury. He built it because he knew the value of communication. He knew how hard it was to be disconnected. And that's what makes his story so powerful. Jan Koum's life teaches us one unforgettable truth. You don't need money to be valuable. You need vision, resilience, and fire. He didn't have a rich father. He didn't attend fancy schools. He wasn't even fluent in English when he arrived. But he believed in simplicity, he believed in privacy, and most of all, he believed in himself. Jan Koum once said, "I want to do one thing really well. I want to make messaging accessible, reliable, and simple." He did that, and in doing so, he became a legend. So next time you think you're not good enough, remember Jan and whisper to yourself, if he could do it, maybe I can too. Because greatness doesn't come from where you start. It comes from how far you're willing to go.